Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian Donnelly. I'm an expert in distilled spirits with 9 years experience in the alcoholic beverage industry, and my goal is to educate consumers more about the alcoholic beverages they enjoy so they can make better shopping and drinking decisions. Today we're going to be talking about a very polarizing product, Fernet-Branca. Some people love it, some people hate it. I personally absolutely love it. So here is what the iconic bottle looks like. If you've ever spent any time around a bar, you've probably seen this bottle, this logo, this label. Maybe you have a bartender friend with the bottle or the logo tattooed on their body somewhere. Fernet-Branca definitely has a cult following. It's often referred to as the bartender's handshake, kind of a if you know type thing. So it's very, very beloved here in the United States by the service industry crowd. And the second product I'm going to be talking about is Fernet's sister product, Brancamenta. And again, I'll get into the difference between these products. A lot of people don't even know that Brancamenta exists, let alone what the difference is between Fernet-Branca and Brancamenta. Today I'm going to cover a brief history behind the parent company that makes Fernet-Branca. I'm going to touch on how the product is produced, provide some details about the production process and the botanicals that go into making Fernet-Branca. And then I'm going to give you the official recommendation of how to drink Fernet-Branca so that you're getting the most flavor out of your drinking experience. So it's important to define what exactly is an Amaro. So Amaro, or Italian for bitter, is an Italian herbal liqueur that is commonly drunk as an after-dinner digestif. It usually has a bittersweet flavor, sometimes syrupy, and has an alcohol content between 16% and 40% ABV. Fernet-Branca, for example, has an alcoholic content of 39% ABV. And then, of course, you may be asking, what separates Fernet-Branca from other Amari? And you'll see Amaro with an O written if it is singular. And again, I don't speak Italian, but I do know that Amari is the plural form of Amaro. So please do not say Amaros. Please say Amari. Fernet-Branca is produced by the parent company Branca, who's also the parent company for brands like Borghetti Coffee Liqueur, Punta Mess, and Carpano Vermouth. And you may also know Carpano Antica, the most premium vermouth in that portfolio. The brand's motto is Novare Servando, which means, according to my notes, to innovate while preserving tradition. All right, so as I mentioned, the parent company for Fernet-Branca is Branca. Fratelli Branca is still privately owned with 100% ownership by the Branca family. Nicola Branco is the main shareholder with the majority of shares and chairman of the board. His entrepreneurial and innovative approach continues to maintain Fratelli Branca as one of the most successful Italian businesses today, although the success is always kept in balance with an eye on heritage and the roots of the company. All right, let's briefly touch on the history. Fratelli Branca Distillerie was founded by Berantino Branco and his 3 sons in 1845 when they started producing a bitter herbal liqueur through a secret formula that has remained such for 175 years. What seemed initially as a local phenomenon soon showed its immense popularity as an international success by winning several medals across Europe in the 1860s and 1870s. In 1890, the brand and its taste conquered the rest of the world rapidly, and by the end of the 1800s, it was well known in the US as well as Australia. Fernet-Branca's secret formula, passed down from father to son in the Branca family, has guaranteed the protection of the quality. Indeed, the 27 herbs it contains some from 4 continents. Aloe comes from South Africa, rhubarb from China, gentian from France, galangali from India or Sri Lanka, and that's Galingale, chamomile from Italy or Argentina, just to name a few. On top of these are flowers, herbs, roots, and plants used for alcoholic brews. Extracts and teas that, blended in a special mixture, produce the beneficial properties of the product. Fernet-Branca ages for at least 1 year in oak barrels. Let's touch on some fun facts about Fernet-Branca. The ingredients for Fernet are sourced from 4 different continents. Fernet is the national drink of Argentina, which I already mentioned. 35% of Fernet-Branca in the United States is consumed in the city of San Francisco. That is insane. The health-enhancing medicinal nature of Fernet kept it in circulation during American Prohibition. And this is my absolute favorite fun fact about Fernet. Fratelli Branca, which is the distillery that makes Fernet-Branca, consumes 75% of the world's saffron output. If you're not familiar with saffron, it is a very expensive spice that is perhaps most famously used in the Spanish paella. I believe the majority of the world's saffron is grown in Iran. It is, I'll put a picture on the screen, but it's got that kind of reddish pigment, and you actually see quite a bit of fake saffron, I believe, out there. So if you're buying saffron and it's not very expensive, it's definitely fake. But saffron is an incredible ingredient. It's an incredibly powerful spice. You know that if you've ever made or had the kind of Spanish paella from Valencia. Fratelli Branca apparently consumes 75% of the world's saffron output. That is just insane to me. Move over Spanish paella from Valencia because Fratelli Branca is buying all the world's saffron. I'm going to be speaking specifically about Fernet-Branca, not some of the other products in their portfolio. So, how is Fernet-Branca made? How do you get that really unique flavor profile? Again, I'm going to be referencing my notes. The formula is a secret right from the beginning. Not even the workers picking the raw materials are informed of the amount of herbs or spices to pick. On arrival at the factory, the herbs destined for processing are tipped into the basins by hand to avoid having to write the quantities of the different ingredients. There's both a hot infusion zone and a cold infusion zone. So in the hot infusion zone, herbs such as aloe and chamomile are brought to the boil and left to settle for a month. And in the cold infusion zone, the herbs steeped in alcohol are then centrifuged. After 1 month, the hot and cold infusions are blended in a large 50,000 liter tank where they are left to settle for another 20 days. After 20 days, the semi-processed product is then put into oak barrels, and those are 280 liter barrels, to mature for 12 months until all the ingredients are fully blended and the mixture is properly aged. So we went from herbs and botanicals arriving at the production facility. There's a hot infusion zone, cold infusion zone. Those two come together. 1 month in a large 50,000 liter tank where they sit for 20 days. After 20 days, the semi-processed products are then put into oak barrels. Those are 280 liter barrels and matured for 12 months until you get a product that is fully mixed and fully matured and fully ready for consumption. Well, you might ask, why does it take 12 months to produce a liqueur? Well, referencing my notes, a long settling period is necessary for the aloe to reach its organoleptic roundness, which distinguishes Fernet-Branca. And I am unfamiliar with what that term means, so let me define it here. The term organoleptic refers to the qualities of a substance, such as a food or a drug, including taste, smell, sight, and touch. Organoleptic properties are essential in evaluating the sensory characteristics of products, particularly in food science and quality control. In sensory evaluation, organoleptic assessments help determine the acceptability and quality of products based on human perception. That is fascinating. I was not familiar with that term before filming this video. That definition came from the Wikipedia page for organoleptic, which I will link below in the description. That is fascinating. I've never heard that term before filming this video. All right. I know the company does not publicly disclose all the herbs and botanicals that go into Fernet-Branca, but they are transparent about some products, and I'm going to read through them here, and hopefully I don't butcher any of the pronunciation. So, lime tree, iris, gentian, galangal, chamomile, bitter orange, saffron, cinnamon, and myrrh. Aloe ferox, colombo powder, rhubarb, calumba, quinine, wormwood, St. John's wort, echinacea, and zidornery root. I am certainly not a botanist, so please forgive me if I mispronounced any of those. Finally, for Fernet-Branca, there are no artificial colors, flavors or additives. Let's taste this. So if you've never tasted Fernet-Branca before, it is a very unique flavor profile. Some people love it, some people hate it. Again, I said it's very polarizing, but I've been told that if you follow this particular process for tasting it, it will really help highlight how complex the spirit is. But if you love Fernet just like me, you're probably used to sipping it slowly after a long and full meal, or having a beer and a shot with your favorite bartender. So, how to properly taste Fernet? It takes 3 easy steps. The first step is take the first sip and pause after a few seconds to introduce yourself to the decisive bitter tone of the Colombo, Aloe, and the unmistakable characteristic of Gentian, and that's Gentiin. All right, first sip. Pause after a few seconds to introduce yourself. All right, small first sip, and then I'm going to pause. Hold that spirit in my mouth before spitting. So again, you might feel the alcohol a little bit. Let's see, what is Fernet? Fernet is bottled at 39% ABV. All right, so your mouth's warming up to the alcohol. Definitely getting that strong aloe taste, which you might not think is enjoyable, but it really works with this. Again, I've never heard of or I've never had Gentian, Gentian, or Colombo, Colombo, so I can't quite speak to what those taste like. But the second step will reveal the distinct spice flavor of Zedornian, that's Zedoary, which is from the ginger family, and the full flavor of chamomile. All right, let's take a second sip. Oh, wow. God, the whole flavor profile changes. Like it feels like you're drinking almost like a completely different spirit. The alcohol is completely faded. And God, you really are getting more spice. That aloe, which is so prevalent in Fernet when you drink it as a shot, has faded completely. It's got the spice to it that really lingers at the front of your mouth. I definitely don't know what Zedornian is, but I've had ginger and I've had chamomile. And it's still got this kind of earthy spot. I feel like there's so many layers of flavor happening right now. It's hard to pick any one out. Let's look at step 3. Step 3 is the overall richness of Fernet. The overall richness of Fernet-Branca is not revealed until the third and final sip, when the balanced bitter aftertaste prevails over the spicy tones of myrrh. And that's myrrh. So think gold, frankincense, and myrrh from the Bible. All right. Sip number 3. Cheers. God, they're right. It's not bitter. It doesn't have the pronounced spice of the second sip or the herbalness of the first sip. It's got something else entirely. It's like the third sip is literally the culmination of the previous flavors. It's like you're almost like layering bricks of flavor. And that third sip is like this sum is greater than the means. Like it's just this really pleasant, it's much more pleasant. I really love that sharp aloe flavor from shooting Fernet, if you just take it all in one sip. But when you slowly sip it over 2, 3, 4 sips, in this case they're saying 3 sips, when you slowly sip it over 3 sips, it really changes. And God, it's got a long finish, complex flavors, and it's really hard to pick out. I mean, I'm looking at notes on how to taste this, and I'm still struggling to verbalize what I'm tasting, but I find it really pleasant. Again, I love Fernet. I love all forms of Fernet. I love it at sip 1, sip 2, and definitely on sip 3, but it's really nice, and it's really cool, and this kind of exercise is just meant to highlight the complexity of this product, and, it's just an exercise that most people don't do. Even people that love Fernet, even people that have Fernet tattoos on their body are not doing this exercise where they're sipping it 3 sips back to back to back and really examining how that product changes on their palate. So this was really cool. And the tasting notes for Fernet-Branca are, and the aroma is described as herbal with electric notes of anise, bitter orange, citrus, saffron, spice, and mint. The palate is described as citrus marmalade flavor complemented by a blend of butterscotch, graham cracker, and cocoa. And the finish is described as sweet and powerful, accented by espresso and campfire notes. And as I mentioned earlier, Fernet-Branca is known as the bartender's handshake. So a shot of Fernet can prove that you're a hospitality industry insider. If you don't want to shoot Fernet, and you don't want to sip it slowly over 3 different sips, how else can you enjoy this product? Well, the 2 recommendations are the Hanky Panky, which, great cocktail name. That's 2 dashes of Fernet, 1.5 ounces of Carpano Antica. So Carpano Antica is a super premium vermouth from Branca, and it is the trade-up option from the regular Carpano vermouth line. And as you might remember from some of my previous videos, Carpano Antica is my absolute favorite cocktail vermouth, especially for whiskey-forward cocktails. 1.5 ounces of gin, and you're garnishing with an orange peel twist. Add all the ingredients to a mixing glass and fill with ice. Stir, strain into a chilled cocktail glass, garnish with the orange twist. There's your Hanky Panky. And if you want to keep it really simple, you can just do as the Argentinians do and have Fernet and Cola. First time I ever had Fernet and Cola, I was doing a backpacking trip through southern Mexico. I was staying in a hostel in Bacalar, and there was this group of Argentinian travelers, and they had like a 2-liter bottle of Coke. They were sharing this 2-liter of Coke, and they'd cut off the top part, kind of at the very top of the label, and they had just mixed in their Fernet directly in this 2-liter of Coke, and were just passing it around as part of their pregame. And that was the first time I was ever introduced to Fernet and Coke, and particularly how much the Argentinians love Fernet and Coke. I've never been to Argentina, but that was my first experience of drinking Fernet and Coke, or how much the Argentinians apparently love Fernet and Coke, and it is delicious together. The sweetness of the Coca-Cola works with the bitter herbalness of the Fernet, and it's just a perfect combination, and it's so simple. Another Fernet cocktail I really enjoy is using Fernet not as the primary spirit, but as a secondary spirit for an old-fashioned. So you can take a bourbon or a American rye old-fashioned, and rather than using perhaps a 2 full ounce pour of the bourbon or the rye, just do 1.5 ounces, and then replace that other 1/2 ounce with Fernet-Branca. It just provides this nice supporting flavor, and it doesn't take over the whole cocktail, but by creating these layers of spice and sweet and bitterness, it really creates a complex and very tasty but very simple cocktail. All right, I can't forget Fernet's sister product, Brancamenta. What is the origins of Brancamenta? The famous opera singer Maria Callas had the habit of drinking Fernet-Branca with some fresh mint leaves before performing. Soon after, it quickly became a summer trend and unknowingly served as the inspiration for a drink which was both a tonic and a refreshing beverage. With 60 proof, or as I mentioned, 30% ABV, its secret formula, consisting of herbs and spices, is enriched with the essential oil of peppermint from Piedmont, the finest in the world. The result is a bitter liqueur of high quality and natural and very refreshing. The notes of mint combines with herbs and spices and give the drink a unique sense and taste of the extreme pleasantness, consistency, and balance characterized by the freshness of mint. Pour myself a little here. So, you can very much enjoy this by itself. A lot of people like to mix it with Sprite. My actual favorite way to consume Brancamenta, it's delicious on its own, but I like to drink what's called a hard start. That's half Fernet-Branca and half Brancamenta. And the mintiness of the Brancamenta combined with the herbal bitterness of the Fernet-Branca just creates this beautiful balance. And I'm not quite sure on the origins of the name the hard start. I always heard, the story that I was always told was that, you had a hungover bartender starting their shift and they needed a little something to get them going. And so they had a hard start, this mixture of Brancamenta and Fernet-Branca. And it's just a really easy drink, really easy shot, and might be a great pick-me-up for the beginning of a shift. God, that mint just covers every part of your palate in a really enjoyable way. It doesn't taste syrupy. It doesn't taste artificial. Like, it tastes real. It's got this incredible mouthfeel. It's not boozy at all. There's no alcohol in this. It's very smooth, very easy to drink, but very full body. It doesn't quite have the complexity, I think, of Fernet-Branca, but it's got this, it's not simple. Like, it's got mint flavor, and you have those kind of underlying flavors that you get from the Fernet-Branca base. But mint is definitely the dominant flavor, and it's very big and minty up front, and then that second and third kind of layers of flavor that hits your palate is a little more of that Fernet-Branca base that you might expect from regular Fernet, but it's definitely not that super aloe bomb that you get with Fernet-Branca. And it may be a bit of a mint bomb up front, but it tastes like fresh mint, like real mint, not like fake mint, not artificial mint. And it's just really nice. It's really pleasant. The flavors are balanced. And again, it's mint forward, but it just really works. And this product's absolutely delicious. And then, as I recommended earlier with the hard start, if you do a little half and half of this and Fernet-Branca, it's absolutely perfect. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, maybe even learned something. If you'd like to be notified whenever I have new content on my website or this YouTube channel, please consider subscribing to my email newsletter. I'll leave a link below in the description. If you don't care about the video component of these videos, I would suggest checking out my podcast. It's just the audio of these brand educational and review videos. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on Apple Podcasts. You can find it wherever you consume your podcasts. If you are a supplier and you would like to see one of your brands featured on my channel, please shoot me an email. I'll leave a link below in the description. I'd love to have that conversation. Thank you so much again for watching, and as always, please drink responsibly.